She lifted the spoon halfway to her lips, then froze. Something about the aroma wasn't right. For years, she'd eaten meals prepared by chefs worth their weight in gold, but this home-cooked meal Tony insisted on making, smelled strange. Still, she smiled at him, unaware that her next bite might change everything. The first taste of the soup felt like a lie. It was a small thing. A strange flavor, hiding under the familiar, spicy taste of the ofensala soup. Sonia's spoon stopped halfway to her mouth. She looked at her husband, Tony, across their large, expensive dining table. He was staring at her. Not just looking, but staring hard. His own food was untouched. "How is it?" he asked. His voice sounded strange and tight. "I made it myself." Sonia's heart beat fast. Tony. Cooking. He was a rich man who owned many buildings in Lagos, but he didn't even know where they kept the salt in their own kitchen. He had given her this soup himself. He was smiling, but his eyes looked worried. She never knew that the food her husband served her would be a test. 2 days earlier, they had been at a big party at the Eco Hotel. It was a beautiful party, full of successful and important people. Sonia wore a very expensive dress and shone like a star. Tony stood proudly beside her, his arm around her. Later, they were in their big, quiet car going home. Sonia rested her head on Tony's shoulder. "Another perfect night," she said softly, holding his hand. Tony held her hand back, but he was looking out the window at the city lights. "It was too loud," he said quietly. "Sometimes I miss the noise from our first small apartment in Suralere. The sound of generators, the neighbors arguing, it felt more real." Sonia looked at him. For weeks, she had seen a change in him. He used to be loud and confident, but now he was quiet. He seemed tired and stressed. "Tony, what is wrong?" she asked, her voice full of care. "Is it the new business deal?" He turned to her. In the dim light, his face looked very tired. "It's not the deal, Sonia. It's everything. This life we live. I feel like I'm losing myself in it." He paused, trying to find the right words. "I feel like I am losing us." Sonia's heart felt tight. "Losing us? Tony, we have everything anyone could want. Do we?" he whispered. "Or do we just have all the things around us?" The question stayed in the air, unanswered, as their car entered the silent, giant house where they lived. The present. Sonia put the spoon down. It made a soft click on the fine plate. The strange taste was still in her mouth. Her mind moved fast, putting the pieces together, Tony being distant, his confusing words in the car, his sudden need to cook for her. A cold, scary thought came to her. Poison. Was he trying to hurt her? Had all their money and pressure made him crazy? She looked at him again, really looked. She saw the man who sold his car to marry her when he had no money. The man who helped her when she was sick. The man whose eyes still smiled when she walked into a room. And now, she saw the pure, simple fear in his eyes. This was not hate. This was a man who was very, very scared. "Tony," she said, her voice calm but strong. She put the spoon down. "What is in this soup?" His shoulders dropped. He looked defeated. He stared at his hands. "Uziza leaves," he said quietly. "And something else." "What else, Tony?" she asked, her heart pounding. He finally looked at her. His eyes were wet, like he was about to cry. "A potion," he confessed. The word sounded silly and old-fashioned in their modern house. From a native doctor in Abeokuta. Sonia was shocked into silence. A love potion. Her smart, modern husband had tried to use magic. The man said it would make you love me again," Tony said, his voice breaking. "That it would bring back the woman who looked at me with love, not just the woman who sees me sign checks. I was so scared, Sonia. I thought I was losing you to this rich world we built." His confession hung in the air. It was both sad and a little foolish. The betrayal was not in the food. It was in his fear. It was in his belief that he needed magic to keep her love. Sonia never knew the food her husband served her would be a cry for help. As she looked at the broken man in front of her, she knew the real work of fixing their marriage was just starting. The quiet in the dining room was very heavy. It felt like something was pushing down on them. The only sound was Sonia's heart, beating fast in her chest. She looked at Tony. This was the man she had built a huge business with. Now, he was destroyed by a fear she never knew he had. A love potion. The words seemed to bounce around the rich, beautiful room. They sounded so silly. But the tears in Tony's eyes made it clear this was not a joke. This was real. Her husband truly thought he had lost her. Slowly and carefully, Sonia pushed the bowl of soup away. It made a scraping sound on the wooden table. Tony, she said. Her voice was low and steady, even though she felt a storm inside. Look at me. He slowly looked up from his hands. His face was like a man waiting to be punished. Do you really believe, she continued, that my love for you is so small that it needs to be spiced? That you can buy it from a man on the roadside? No. Sonia, it's not like that, he tried to say. Then what is it like, she asked. She wasn't angry, just very, very sad. You think because I like the nice life we worked for, because I can talk to important business people, that I have forgotten the man who slept on a mattress on the floor with me in Suralere? The man who shared one single plate of beans with me because we had no other food. She stood up. Her chair moved back. She was graceful, but her hands were shaking. She walked around the table until she was standing right beside him. He moved back a little as if he thought she would hit him. But she didn't. She reached out and held his hand. It was cold. You went to a native doctor because you thought you lost me, she said, her voice becoming softer. But Tony, you didn't lose me. You just stopped talking to me. You started fighting this problem in your head all by yourself. She knelt down on the floor so she could look right into his eyes. She didn't care about her expensive dress on the cold floor. This was more important. The problem is not in that soup, Tony. The problem is that you kept your fear to yourself instead of telling me. We were a team when we had nothing. Why did you stop believing we are a team now that we have everything? Finally, Tony broke down. A single tear rolled down his cheek, then another. He looked at their hands held together. He looked at his wife, kneeling in front of him in their multi-million naira home, saying the honest words he was too proud and too scared to say. I was ashamed, he said, his voice choked. Ashamed that I have everything, but I felt so empty inside. Everyone looks at me and sees Tony the success. I was afraid you only saw that too. I thought a potion would bring back the old feeling. The magic. Sonia squeezed his hand. The only magic we need, Tony, is the truth. And the only potion is us talking. Really talking. She stood up, pulling him gently to his feet. Now, she said with new strength in her eyes. We're going to the kitchen. You're going to show me every single thing you put in that soup. And then, together we're going to cook a new pot. A real one. With no magic, no secrets. Just us. For the first time that night, a real, tired hope appeared in Tony's eyes. The test was over. The real work of fixing what fear had almost broken was finally starting. And it began not with a magic potion but with a walk to the kitchen holding hands. The kitchen was huge and beautiful with marble and steel. It was where their cook usually worked. But tonight it was different. The air usually smelled of gentle herbs. Now it smelled of strong uziza leaves and the memory of Tony's terrible secret. Sonia was still in her beautiful dinner dress, but she had put a clean white apron over it. She looked like a queen in her palace kitchen, but she was determined. Tony stood next to her, looking lost and young. He held the uziza leaves like they were dangerous. Okay, Sonia said, her voice strong but kind. She pointed to a small brown bag on the counter. What is inside it? I need to know everything that man gave you. Tony's shoulders dropped. He said it was a mix of special herbs. Uvuru bark for strength. Some roots I don't know. And, he stopped, his face turning red with shame. And what, Tony? Sonia asked, her heart beating fast again. We do this with complete honesty now, or we don't do it. And a piece of my hair, he whispered, looking at the floor. He said it would tie the magic to me. To make it work on you. Sonia closed her eyes for a second. It was so silly and so desperate. Her husband, a man who led big companies, had given his own hair to a stranger for a love spell. It showed how scared and vulnerable he was. Okay, she said again, breathing out slowly. He picked up the bag, carried it to the trash machine and threw it in. The sound of it being crushed was satisfying. The magic is gone. Now we make the real thing. You will tell me everything he told you to do. We will make Ofensala together the right way. Our way. For the next hour, the kitchen became a safe place. As Tony slowly told her the recipe from the native doctor, the special order, the words he was supposed to say, Sonia showed him how to really cook. She taught him how to wash the yam, how to pound it correctly, how to season the fish. His big hands, used to signing important papers, were clumsy with a kitchen knife. He made mistakes. He made a mess. And for the first time in weeks he laughed. It was a weak laugh at himself, but it was real. I'm a disaster, he said, watching a piece of yam fall onto the floor. You are. Sonia agreed with a small real smile. But you're my disaster. And you're trying. In that shared space, surrounded by his mistake and her forgiveness, they began to talk. Really talk. Tony spoke about the heavy pressure to be successful, the fear that every business deal could fail, the loneliness of being at the top where everyone wants something from you but no one sees the real you. Sonia listened and she shared her own fears, that he was pulling away because he was bored of her, that their love story was over and now it was just work. They were so focused on healing their relationship, on the simple act of cooking together, that they didn't hear a quiet sound from the front door. They didn't hear the security system turn off with a code that should not have worked. A person stood in the kitchen doorway, outlined by the light from the hall. The sound of high heels on the floor finally broke their happy moment. "Well, isn't this a sweet picture?" a woman's voice said. It was a voice they knew and it was full of mockery. It made Tony's blood feel cold. The powerful couple acting like normal people in the kitchen. "Tony, you look very simple." Sonia and Tony turned at the same time. Standing there was Kemi, Tony's ex-girlfriend. The one he had left for Sonia 10 years ago. Kemi was still beautiful, but her anger had made her features sharp. Her beauty was now a weapon. She held up a keycard. "You should really change your security codes, Tony. Or at least stop being so sentimental. You never canceled the code you gave me when I was planning your birthday party, all those years ago. I had a feeling it might still work." Tony stepped forward, putting his body between Kemi and Sonia. "Kemi, what are you doing here? How did you get past the gate?" "Please," she said, waving her hand as if it was nothing. "The new security guard at the gate works for me now. I paid him. As for why I'm here, I heard you are having some problems in your marriage. I came to help an old friend." Sonia, who had been frozen, now found her voice. It was cold and carried the power of a woman in her own home. "We do not want or need your help, Kemi. You need to leave. Now." Kemi's smile grew wider, but it did not touch her cold eyes. She ignored Sonia and looked only at Tony. "I also came to give you a message. A business message. You see, while you have been busy playing chef and trying to fix your marriage, you have not been paying attention to your work. The Singapore deal. The one you think is already yours." She paused, letting the fear grow in the silence. "My company has made a better offer. A much, much better one. We have been quietly buying shares, talking to the important people. They are choosing us, Tony. It is almost certain." Tony's face turned white. The Singapore deal was the most important project for his company for the next 5 years. Losing it would be a terrible blow to his money and his reputation. "You are lying." "Am I?" Kemi's laugh was short and ugly. "Check your phone. The email from their boss should be arriving right about now." As if she had planned it, Tony's phone on the counter buzzed with an urgent message. He didn't need to look to know it was true. The timing, the boldness of her visit. It was all a perfect attack. "You did this," Tony said, his voice low and angry. "You have been working against me for months." "I have been preparing," Kemi corrected him smoothly. "You left me for her," she said, finally throwing a poisonous look at Sonia. "You chose a girl from a small Suralere apartment over me. You humiliated me. You thought I would just disappear? I have spent 10 years building my own business, Tony, for one reason, to be able to take everything from you when the time was right." She took a step closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. "And it seems the time is very right. A husband so insecure he uses juju? That is a very interesting piece of gossip. It would destroy the trust your investors have in you. The company board would have to fire you." Sonia felt a coldness that was not from the air. This was not just a business enemy. This was a woman using 10 years of hated love as a weapon, and she had just found the perfect thing to use against them. "You would not do that," Sonia said, but she sounded less sure. "Wouldn't I?" Kemi's smile was victorious. "Just try me. This business deal is only the start, Tony. I am not just going to beat you in business. I am going to break apart the life you built without me. Piece by piece." She turned to leave, then stopped, looking back at the pot of soup on the stove. "Enjoy your soup. You will need the comfort." With one last mocking smile, she walked out. The sound of her heels faded, leaving a silence that was deeper and more frightening than before. Their new reconciliation, so soft and new, was now in great danger. The secret of Tony's desperation was no longer just theirs. It was a weapon in the hands of their worst enemy. The food he had served her had been a cry for help, but now it threatened to become the poison that ruined them both. Tony looked at Sonia, his eyes wide with a new fear. Not of losing her love but of losing their whole world and taking her down with him. Sonia looked back at him. The hurt and confusion from before were gone. Now her eyes showed a fierce, protective fire. An enemy had just walked into their home and started a war. And in that moment the team he thought was lost came back together, stronger than ever. "Okay," Sonia said, her voice quiet but strong. She took off the apron. "Forget the soup. We have a bigger problem to deal with." The silence after Kemi left felt different. It wasn't the sad quiet from Tony's confession. This was a heavy, scary quiet, like something bad was about to happen. Tony stood frozen, staring at the door. He could almost still see Kemi's mean smile. The Singapore deal. His good name. Everything was falling apart because of one stupid mistake. He felt a hand on his arm. It was Sonia. Her touch was no longer soft. It was strong and firm, like an anchor holding him steady. "We need to call someone," she said, her voice clear and sure. "We can't fight this alone. We need Simon." Tony looked at his wife. "Simon? Sonia, this is a big business problem with blackmail. This isn't something he can fix with a funny joke and some drinks." "Exactly," Sonia said, already calling on her phone. "He's the one person Kemi would never expect. And he's your best friend. Now is when we need best friends." 37 minutes later, a loud, happy car noise broke the quiet of their rich neighborhood. It was followed by the security gate opening, a car door slamming, and a loud voice that filled the house. "Oga Tony. Madam Sonia. Where are you? Your security man was looking at me like I'm a thief. I told him my name is Simon, the Solution Peters. I'm the one who fixes things here." Simon Peters came into the living room like a happy storm. He was tall and wore a bright, colorful shirt. His smile was big and infectious. Sonia always said he was like a golden retriever. Always loyal, a little clumsy, and always thinking everything was fun. Look at this place," he said, spreading his arms like he wanted to hug the whole room. "This house is big enough for the World Cup." "What happened?" Sonia said, "I should come quickly, that it's an emergency. I hope it's not one of your fancy toilets breaking again? Because last time I swear that thing tried to eat my..." He stopped talking when he saw their faces. His happy smile disappeared. Tony looked pale and sat slumped in a chair. Sonia stood straight by the fireplace, her arms crossed. The air felt thick and serious. "Ah," Simon said, his voice becoming serious. "This is not a toilet problem. This is big." Before anyone could speak, another person walked in. It was Doran Wadike. She moved calmly, the complete opposite of Simon. She wore a simple blue dress, her hair in a neat bun. He carried a tablet and a big bag that smelled like ginger and herbs. She was Sonia's oldest friend, a smart pharmacist who believed most problems could be fixed with a good plan, the right medicine, or a strong talk. Her sharp eyes looked around the room, seeing everything. She saw Tony's defeated look, Sonia's protective stance, and the unused wine glasses. "Let me guess," Dora said, her voice calm and sure. "Tony finally said he hates golf, or Kemi is back." Sonia's sharp breath told her everything. "Kemi!" Simon shouted, his face full of angry surprise. "That witch with a heart as black as an old tire? What did she do now? Did she come here to show off her new car? Let me go flatten her tires, I swear I will do it." "Simon, please shut up," Dora said without looking at him. She kept her eyes on Sonia. "Details. No. And tell me everything. I can only help if I know the whole story." So they told them everything. Not a clean version, but the whole, honest truth. Tony started, his voice heavy with shame as he confessed his insecurities and his trip to Abeokuta. Sonia continued, describing the strange taste in the soup, Tony's confession, and their slow steps toward fixing things. Then they told them the worst part. Kemi's surprise visit, her blackmail, and the stolen Singapore deal. While they talked, Simon reacted to everything. He gasped, he cursed quietly, he held his chest dramatically when Tony mentioned the love potion. Juju? Tony of all people. Ah, big trouble. Dora meanwhile listened like a statue. She didn't interrupt or react. She just took in every word, her mind clearly working, organizing and making a battle plan. When they finished, the room was quiet again, waiting for their response. Simon was the first to move. He walked to Tony not with pity but with strong loyalty. He put a hand on Tony's shoulder. Boss, you did a very foolish thing. But don't worry. We are with you. Then he turned to Sonia. And you, madam, you are a better woman than many saints. But don't worry. We will win this problem. How? Tony asked, a little hope in his eyes for the first time since Kemi left. She has the deal. She has the blackmail. We will win, Dora said, finally speaking. Her voice left no room for argument. By being smarter and more organized than she is. Her whole plan stands on two things, your emotional weakness and her business power. We break both. She held up one finger. Thing one, the blackmail. It only has power if people know about it. We control the story. Simon, your first job. You have that silly gist with Simon Entertainment blog, right? Simon puffed out his chest. It's not just a blog. It's a famous digital media platform for pop culture and... It's a blog, Dora interrupted. And it's perfect. You will write a story. A soft, romantic story about how top businessman Tony Adeyemi secretly learned to cook his wife's favorite soup to surprise her. Make his desperation look like devotion. If Kemi tries to tell her juju story, it will just look like a bitter, mean version of our beautiful story. Sonia's eyes opened wide with admiration. Dora, that's brilliant. It's simple public relations, Dora said with a small shoulder movement. Now thing two, the Singapore deal. She looked at Tony. You're thinking like a businessman who lost a deal. So, think like a husband fighting for his life. Kemi's offer is better? Fine. We don't beat her with money. We beat her with trust. Who is the main decision-maker on their side? Mr. Leong, Tony said immediately. The chairman. He's old-fashioned. He cares about relationships more than anything. Good, Dora said. Then we remind him of his relationship with you. Not with your company. With you. Simon, your second job. Yes, madam. Simon said, standing playfully straight. You are now Tony's unofficial director of vibes. You will find out everything about Mr. Leong. What does he love? What does he miss from home? What is his favorite Nigerian food? You don't get him a better deal, Tony. You get him a better friend. You show him that Kemi is just money, but you are family. Simon's face lit up like he'd been given a great gift. Director of Vibes. I like that title. I will find out if the man likes pepper soup or if he enjoys Fuji music. Leave it to me. For the first time that night, a real, genuine smile touched Tony's lips. The huge problem was being broken into smaller, almost funny tasks. The weight was being shared. Sonia looked at her two friends, the clumsy, loyal golden retriever and the smart, bossy mastermind, and felt a wave of love and strength. They weren't just offering help. They were joining the war. What about me? Sonia asked Dora. What is my job? Dora gave her a small, rare smile. You, my dear, are the general. You hold the line. You keep his spirit strong. And you, she said, looking back at Tony, you will learn to talk to your wife. No more secrets. Every fear, every doubt you tell her with your own mouth, not in a soup. Understood. Tony nodded, his eyes clear for the first time in months. Understood. Good, Dora said, clapping her hands together. Now, Simon, go write that story. Tony, get your secretary to find every file, every personal note you have on Mr. Leong. Sonia, make some tea. We're all going to need tea. This will be a long night. As they all started to work, a new energy filled the house. It was the energy of a team, of a family. The enemy was strong, but they were no longer fighting in the dark. They had a plan. And they had each other. Simon, already on his phone, winked at Dora. You see, I told you I am the solution. Dora rolled her eyes, but as she turned to help Sonia in the kitchen, a very small smile touched her lips. You're a nuisance, Simon. But you're our nuisance. Now make yourself useful and find the honey.